All right, great to have you joining us back on the People's Breakfast here on the People's 105.5 FM. We have a full house, yes. I have my two sisters on either side of me, and of course, we've been with Giver Stevens all morning. And let's welcome Miriam Mohammed. Miriam, good morning.
Good morning, Maddox. Good morning, the people, the beautiful people of Abuja. How you guys doing today? Well, this is the People's Breakfast Show right here on 105.5 People's FM. Of course, okay, Elgiver is not.
Elgiver is she'll be right back.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we're on the last leg, and this is our time for having the conversation. And of course, it's been 1 year in office for President
Already.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We've been doing a review since most of the week.
Yes.
And we're continuing that today. And we're being joined by a special guest. He's a media practitioner, a writer, and an international scholar. And a leadership fellow.
Yes.
So he's joining us here to also give his perspective on the first year of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Let's welcome Mr. Haruna
Abdullahi.
Haruna Abdullahi, yes.
Also known as Haruna Spice. You know,
yes. That's his pen name.
That's his stage
I'm
name.
sure that's what everybody knows him by. Haruna Spice, good to have you with us this morning.
Thank you very much, Maddox. It's my pleasure to be here this morning.
All right, so we've had unbroken civil rule for
25 years.
For 25 years, and for lack of a better word, let's say it's been civil rule. Some people say democracy, but I'm of the opinion that democracies evolve. And rulership of any kind can exist, but democracy evolves. It takes a whole lot of time. Let's start from there first before you even get down to the anniversary of the Tinubu government. We've had 25 years of unbroken democracy, 9 of them under the current ruling party, the APC, and then the other 16 under the People's Democratic Party. How is Spice, looking at the last 25 years of civilian rule in Nigeria, how far have we come? What's your take?
First of all, we should congratulate ourselves as Nigerians for standing in witness to 25 years of uninterrupted democratic experience. We should applaud ourselves for the tenacity, for the patience, for the perseverance that has greeted this experience. It used to be the anthem of the juntas. Today we speak in democratic terms. So it's a big one. We are finally in the Committee of Civilized Nations, where democracy, rule of law, and the other tenets that defines existence of humankind this century defines us. So I would say that it's been a pleasurable experience, 25 years of back-to-back consistent democratic practice. So congratulations, Nigerians.
All right, you mentioned anthem, and quickly I remember that we have a new old national anthem. Many people have reacted to it. Haruna Spice, I want to get your take on it. We have reverted to Nigeria, we healthy, and I'm sure you didn't sing that as a child. You, like the rest of us here, you grew up with the Araizo. So tell me, Araizo is gone, and Nigeria we healthy. Haruna Spice, you were a student activist, and I'm sure you sang Nigeria we healthy so many times as a protest song. So give us your thought on the return of the old anthem.
It's actually a mixed feeling, given that the generation of after 50 generation are so happy with the return of this old anthem. You could see the gleam, the bloom, the happiness, anxiety, on the faces of our old papas when they sing this Nigeria we hail thee. Yeah? In contrast to us, the new school, the Gen Z, who are actually finding it difficult to even comprehend the meaning.
Did you just call yourself a Gen Z?
I tell you, I am a Gen Z. I never reached 50. So I fall to the category of the new school.
Yeah.
So on a serious note, whatever the intent of the government, I think I do not subscribe to that wholeheartedly. Okay. This is a democratic setting. When there are propositions for a new concept, I think it should be thrown open to the public. That was lacking. In the history of this nation, or the National Assembly, I saw an accelerated hearing that eventually become a law, assenting to the president in less than 48 hours. What the hell? I'm not going to use the F word. But again, it tells us that when government wants to do something, they do it with that immediate alacrity. Apology to Zebediah. Again, it's actually an insult or trying to undermine we, the people, that you're proposing what is going to be our dogma, our doctrine, and we're not carried along. Whatever the intent, I think it's faulted in that regard. If you are even reintroducing an old anthem, it should be a participatory initiative, not just one person or a body of less than 300 Nigerians making a law for us. One senator stood out sparkly, distinctive. I think he's from Borno, when he said they knew the reintroduced anthem is not the problem of Nigerians. We have more grappling issues that should dominate the National Assembly other than this call for a new national anthem. Then historically, we're talking of an anthem that predates our independence, handed over to us by colonial lords. Now, we've been fighting to disconnect from our colonial grip, to fight imperialism. All of a sudden, we are back to, reintroducing this doctrine that was handed over to us by the white people. It's actually, again, an indictment on our collective ethos as a people. What is our orientation? If you think the Arise O compatriot is no longer tenable, I think we should do a new one. Starting on a new slate. We're talking of change, the change mantra. It's all about revolving realities. So we should have, advocated a new one. Going back to the colonial anthem, it's like we're giving back our sovereignty, our independence, our liberty back to the to the colonialists. Again, the name Nigeria should also be changed, if you ask me, because we didn't get it from indigenously. It wasn't our own thinking.
The flag,
the flag, at least the flag was designed by Nigerian, late Taiwo Akinkunmi, so it's fine. But the anthem, the name Nigeria, every other thing we should revert to status quo, perhaps to regional government, perhaps the end, to the old way of doing things, to where corruption was.
Revert to subsidy.
They revert to the subsidy regime and let Nigerians sleep with their eyes closed. So for me, the national anthem is not a priority as far as this dispensation is concerned.
I think this is a good place to ask about the economy of Nigeria in 1 year. Atiku Abubakar, of course, is a critic of the current administration. He's come out to say, Tinubu, you promised us that when you come into power, the economy will grow, you will end the misery of Nigerians. Now, looking at the reality on ground, talking about subsidy removal, electricity hike, and just everything that is going on, how would you describe the economy of Nigeria in the last 1 year?
Yeah, from the Atiku point of view, you do not expect anything contrary. An opposition speaks from a point of criticism. So he's not a benchmark to measure the robustness or otherwise of the Nigerian economy. But the man on the street should be your pulse. His feelings, his aspirations, should be what will define the economy. You and I truly have we fared better in 1 year? The answer definitely will be a no. Because a policy that was ill thought, hastily done, happens to us. On the day the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, assumed office or took the oath of office, he dropped a bombshell that actually reverberated in a negative vibes around the country. He ended the regime of subsidy. Those who managed to transport from Nyanya or Kefi with, let's say, 100 naira to Eagle Square, return paying 1,000 naira. That is a definition of a policy statement that actually shook the foundation of our existence. And it never stopped. It continued. The food, the prices of food skyrocketed. People cannot actually even afford a decent meal anymore. There's no low or middle class again. It's only the first and the low class that we have now. You can't go to the market and Your 5 naira has no value for to you.
You can't buy
Your
anything
10 naira, your
with
20 naira, even 50 naira sweet, you can't have it again. So it tells of the elementary definition of economy that it hasn't been well. Again, statistically, or coming from the Bretton Woods definition of economy, 1 year is too small to begin to measure the economic success or otherwise of a nation, because there speaks from a point of statistics, indices, and the rest of it. But we are not, human beings are not programmed to start analyzing indices or statistics. We are talking about the stomach infrastructure.
Yeah.
What
The stomach doesn't eat statistics.
No, it doesn't. What it fills what fills the stomach is breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
And in between meals, snacks.
Then that is average. People get money now, they even think of in between. But again, you can eat granite, maize, and to augment those windows.
Yeah.
So if you ask me, the economy, the infrastructural economy hasn't been well with us. We used to have decent meals in our homes, those of us that even have access to certain income, but it's not longer there. So imagine those with no means to income.
All right.
Yes. So in a nutshell, the economy has been, in the words of the Budaji House of Rep member, is doing
Looks like this.
is doing somehow.
People can't see you.
All right. When they tilt to the left, to the right, back, forth, that is the description I'm giving here on radio.
All right.
Yes, sir.
You just mentioned subsidy. Let's listen to the president, what he said about the subsidy, and then we'll come back to it. We're not done with the subsidy.
On fuel subsidy, unfortunately, the budget that I've glimpsed before I assumed office, and what I've had is that no provision is there for fuel subsidy. The fuel subsidy is gone. Subsidy can no longer justify an ever increasing cost and the wake of dry resources. We shall instead the channel will be right. Not for to fund to better investment and public infrastructure, education, healthcare, and jobs that will materially improve life for people.
All right. So, Haruna Spice, you heard the president there. That was from his speech, his inauguration speech. You said he just woke up and said it, but he has an explanation there. You don't think the explanation suffices?
Governance is a continuum. He didn't just start that very day. According to that speech, there wasn't a provision for subsidy, meaning there have been some measures put in place to address the effect, what would have been a boomerang.
I think the
subsidy.
correct position was that there was provisions for subsidy until the end of June 2023.
2023.
2023, yes.
Okay. So meaning
There was still 1 month ahead.
Yes, and that 1 month was enough. In fact, those who ended the regime would have, envisaged the effects of removing or ending the regime. So what I'm saying is that reiterating it on the day you assume office does not really speak to effective communication management.
Okay.
You have a system where price control mechanism is weak or it's not even in existence.
True.
And you just make a policy statement that actually reverberated so harshly. Perhaps he had his own intention to say, okay, to the looting subsidy guys, this is the end. But we're not even talking about those people. Whether there is a regime or not, these people are already, the cabals are already rich and comfortable. We're talking of the effect it will have on the people. So the day he made that pronouncement, why did the price of fuel price change? Just that very moment. And And the very moment it changed, something happened again. The price of transportation also changed. You know, the cost of food also changed. It's a vicious cycle that once one is affected, the other ones will also be affected. What I'm saying is actually the management, how it was handled. It could be gradual. Okay, from now to, immediately that was made, there were propositions for 35,000 naira hardship allowance for civil servants.
Civil servants.
Yeah, the provision of CNG buses. Definitely, you knew that your pronouncement would lead to a crisis. That is why they quickly come up with, okay, let's begin to even send some 10,000 naira, to households. That money you would have been used to sustain some level of that subsidy first, pending when you would have made provision for your CNG buses that will be less dependent on petroleum. Your rail metro line would have been in function. Like now, the president graciously commissioned the Abuja metro line. Imagine if the moment he commissions it and you now say, okay, no more subsidy, at least there's an alternative to road transport. That is addressed. Then you go to some agricultural investment you would have made enough procurement and the rest of it. Send your strategic reserves, the grains to your strategic reserves. Send them to the market. By the time you're making your announcement, there will be food. Traders will not hike their prices. There's alternative to just road transport and the likes. But now we've put the cart before the horse, and that is why we are defining his economic policy based on the subsidy doctrine. Because if you remove that, all other things will actually continue. And again, you should know why there is government. The reason for government is to serve the people. And people live purposely for self-preservation. If you're hungry, you cannot use the infrastructure. If you're hungry, you cannot even think of patriotism. If you're hungry, hunger does not know nationalism. So if you're able to address the hungry man, my brother and sisters, definitely you would have addressed governance first. That is why some populist leaders succeed by making food available for their people. And they'll say, we're not hungry now. Now road I want chop. It's a reality. Development is key. Infrastructural development is key. But you need people to stay alive to benefit or to enjoy those infrastructures. So the timing of the subsidy regime, either by the former president and the new one, was actually not the right time for that to happen.
You talked about food security, and we all know that right now it's difficult. I won't say maybe farmers are not going to farm or they're going to farm, but it's really difficult for farmers to go to farm all over the country, especially maybe the middle belt and the core north. Farmers are finding it difficult to go to farm, and that is also one major factor why we have food inflation right now. Now, apart from the security issue, bad roads, a lot of other factors also come into play. Bad roads, because they need to transport these goods. Then the fuel subsidy removal, the hike in price, and everything. In fact, it's such a major problem. People are hungry. People are angry. What should we be doing? What should the government be looking at right now to address? Because for me, that you already said it, that's the number one thing. Food. So what should we be doing? What should we be looking at to address these issues?
You said something. A hungry man is an angry man.
That's right.
Yes, that is the old saying. But in this context, it takes full stomach to be angry. You if you're hungry, you can't even have the energy to be angry.
Well,
so you've eliminated anger. Where a man does not exhibit happiness or anger, that is a useless man. It has gotten to that depressive stage that all is lost.
Oh, no, I don't think we've gotten there yet.
When a man cannot rationalize,
right,
for him to be angry or happy, that means something is wrong. The motivating factor is food. A man with food in his stomach has hope to rely on. So remove hope from man is gone. Remove put hunger in a man is also gone. So the reality is that he needs that food first to even be angry. And anger is one of the motivating or defining factors of rationalization.
That's right.
Once you're hungry, productivity is reduced. You can't even contribute to national development. You can't think straight. All is gone. So government at all levels must first of all address the issue of food security.
That's right.
And it begins from the family. As a father of the house, you are the leader of that house. It goes up to the ward level, to the local government, to the state. What are our leaders doing in every sphere of this structure? If we're able to address it. You made reference to, in the middle belt, people not having access to their farmland. Yeah, it's also a failure of governance. Government exists to address issues. In the old days, man has always been defined by conflict. Even conflict within and external conflict. So you cannot eliminate, conflict from the pursuit of happiness. That is why you have the security agencies to address criminalities, to address lawlessness, to address invasion. Because we have faith from the family, community, local government, state level and federal level. That is why criminality stares in the face. That is why farmers cannot have access to their farms. If we're able to address that issue of governance, security governance, everybody will go back to the farm. It's not about just speaking on TV or radio about governance. Governance, when you address social issues, when you address injustice, when you ensure that everybody is equitably equipped, there will not be need for crime. You understand? Most of our leaders are in Abuja. Even the local government, your local government chairman is in the state government house.
I don't know.
I'm a journalist, so I know them. I know where I see them. Take a hard one of these high-profile hotels. You see them around attending workshops, regurgitating templates instead of practical governance. If we are ready to address issue of conflict, it starts from the community. What comes to the state? What comes to the local government? Once these are equitably used, definitely governance at that level begins.
So this administration is on the right track. They are saying state governments, give local government their autonomy. Let them have access to
their autonomy has always been there.
Okay.
Nigeria was created on a structure. There are three tiers of governance: the federal, the state, and the local government. Former President Obasanjo, in his own ingenuity, that is what we call it, was an infamous decision for him to collapse local government to state government when he created the joint account.
Yeah, the state joint.
That actually gave impetus to the imperial reign of our governors. So they could now decide the fate of local government chairman because the money comes to them first before it gets to the national, to the local government council. So that was the beginning of the failure, And again, these governors have assumed a monstrous posture, such that they are even afraid of losing that power. All the power that comes to them is from the local government. So once you strip them of this power, they remain almost nothing. So they will do everything possible. During the government of former President Muhammadu Buhari, there were attempts for local autonomy. Guess who resisted the change? It was the State House of Assemblies came together. The 36 State House of Assembly members came together and said, Mr. President, no. And they keep...
No, but don't you think the actions of those state houses of assembly is more of the voice of the
governors?
The voice of Esau and the hand of Jacob?
Yes. So Jacob and Esau were all in it. But what we're saying is that it must be deliberate. We need the president to really be hard on that decision. Again, these governors are very powerful. They decide the fate of leaders. The they'll come together in their forum and say, this is our position on the autonomy. And because the president is a political animal not in derogative terms, you know, you definitely want to pander to the whims and caprices of his governors. Remember, they are the chief security officers of their state. If they say they are not making provision for the re-election of the president, I didn't say the president is contesting, but I'm saying,
Just
you know,
in case.
in case. So there are politicians are united in common front than even what they feel for the masses. So they have a meeting point. Once these chess games are put together, they make the analysis and say, okay, this is our position. The president will chicken out. But it happened to the Buhari. So, you know, with the whole stand posture, he was blackmailed and he jettisoned the local government autonomy. I hope President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will not toe the line of President Muhammadu Buhari and ensure that the local, you know, the sub-regional government comes to life. If that happens, the issue of food security, primary health care, you know, education at the local level will be addressed. As I speak to you, most of the states have no, you know, credible or buoyant public schools anymore.
That's right.
You know, not to talk of primary health care. Everything is now private driven. Because health, education, even securities these days.
And it's all about the profits. Well, at this point, you can call in. I mean, we have about 27 minutes to go. If you have questions, you have contributions, we still have Haruna Abdullahi right here, also known as Haru Spice. Call us up on 0911 222 1055. You can also send a message using the WhatsApp platform. That is 0911 112 1055. I think we have a call on the line already. Hello, good morning. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from? Your name is Sadiq?
Duke. Okay, Comrade Duke. All right, go ahead.
Please go on.
Compliment the federal government for the action they're taking. I think, like you rightly pointed out, for jettisoning during the moment I think because that was not a well-focused government. Today we have a government that is more responsive to the millions and millions of people. So things are hard. I think they are putting up all their measures. And one of the ways to make sure to ensuring that governance and benefits of governance goes to the grassroots is one of this aspect of autonomy of the local government. We've seen local government not being able to perform because of the whims and caprices of the governor. The governor dictates. It's two ways. The government dictates who the queen here, and then dictates their exit. Dictates everything that happens within the local government area. So that you see that in the local government level, there are no developmental sites, no income, and no promotion, nothing is going on there. So I think it's a good one, and I'm sure for the federal government to have taken this matter to court, I'm sure that they are bent on it and they must achieve it. Like you said, both investigation, media housing, everybody has to be on there for us to ensure that this autonomy is really in reality, it happens in reality. Local government chairmen should have their funds. And we are seeing governors these days going to commission jobs that are meant for the local government. So aside from water, local amenities, provisions of the local infrastructure and all that, still governors traveling to local government to go and commission such projects. Whereas they are the duties of the state. It has weakened the local government system. Even the councillors cannot even teach to home because the president is not asking their titles to even teach and meet buying votes. So I think it's a good one, and I'm very sure that this government will result in getting it right. Thank you. That's my contribution.
All right, thank you, Comrade Duke, for that contribution. 0911-222-1055. All right, another call is here.
Hello, good morning. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from? All right, Noble.
Noble, where did you go today? You're coming back.
From the moon.
All right, go ahead.
I want to say our guest at the time. I had it yesterday, and honestly, coming across him again today, I'm blessed. So, well done.
Thank you.
So what I want to say now is that, you know, all that you said about this local government of the city, I really love it. But I want to find out from him, going by what he said about what the government did to ex-President Muhammadu Buhari, how do you think this our president will escape that kind of thing they did to Baba Buhari that time? Because the governor, to me, honestly, if it can help us to handle them, I'll be very, very happy. There are the problems we have in this country. So, the government, I don't think they should be allowed to have their own time around. All of us will face them. That enough is enough. It cannot be holding us to ransom like this. The country is supposed to point, but they have been discovered that they are the one causing this problem. So please, what do you think they can do to escape from the hands of this governor? Because they did it to Baba Buhari and they succeeded. So how will we go about it? Because I know that they are waiting for the outcome of the
hearing.
Supreme Court, whatever. I can assure you, they have their plan because they have been quiet all this while. And I know that they are being quiet means a lot. Because they are very, very terrible and cunning and clever.
Okay, I know,
No,
I
they're
know,
not
but I think you're now straying into the direction of what is not constructive. You can't say they are corny and all of that. Please, let's keep our language
but I
stable.
think he's made
But
his
but
point
the point here, Haruna Spice, he's saying if they could do that to Baba Buhari soldier, who is Tinubu, a normal civilian like the rest of us, that they will not do the same to him.
And I think that there's a segment of the Constitution that they hold on to. I think there's a part, like 2 parts or 3 parts of the Constitution that alludes to the fact that Nigeria is a 2-tier government.
Well, the Constitution looks like it says 2 tiers of government, but the point it now says the states should administer the local governments. Someone grabbed and held it tightly.
I think we'll need a legal interpretation.
Right.
But from the word go, we know that the Nigeria is defined on the 3 tiers of government.
3 tiers of government, 3 arms of government.
3 arms of government, and 3 arms of government. Again, it's not the quest for the autonomy. It's not actually a sole responsibility of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It is a collective struggle.
Right.
That should be anchored and motivated by all Nigerians. The media, the civil society organization, traditional rulers, let's all come together and actually ask for what is ours. The right does not actually belong to the state governor. It's actually our right. Perhaps our level of indolence, has actually contributed to empowering these empires. Otherwise, they really do not have the right to say that this is what they want. It is what we, the people, want that should happen. And that is why there's a constitution. Why is the constitution being abused by these governors? Why are the civil society organizations silent? Where are our pressure group leaders? It's not about during election that political parties should actually come to vie for offices. Political parties exist not just to win election, but to also serve as alternative government template to the ruling government. By propounding, policies different or better to the ones that the ruling government is actually trying to promote or implement. I remember the days of late Awolowo, the sage. The sage. When federal government pronounces certain policies, he also brings an alternative policy. Remember his policy of free education?
Yeah.
It was something that was propounded by the opposition government of Awolowo that actually became a national policy. So political parties should not wait until it is election time before they begin to propound or provide solutions to issues. Governance is not about election. This is a time for all the political parties to come together and ensure that local government autonomy is situated and implementable. Once that happens, Tinubu takes the credit, Nigeria takes the gain.
All right. I have a question to ask. We're talking about the 1 year of President Tinubu in power and how it has affected people. And I want to ask, do you believe Nigerians have now become defeated? Because, like they say, when you push Nigerians to the wall, they'll break the wall and continue going. Like we don't have an elastic limit. Yes, our tolerance is very high. For example,
IBB once said Nigerians are unshockable.
For example, in 2012, when Goodluck Jonathan, former president, wanted to remove subsidy, this particular government that's in power, they were the opposition then, they organized Nigerians, we had the Occupy Nigeria protest, to stop the subsidy removal. Yes. And then he comes in on the first day of his handover and says, subsidy is gone. Yeah. Without consultation, nothing. And then everything just skyrocketed.
And he didn't have a team on ground to implement that thing.
So, would you now say, because if it was then, Nigerians would have spoken up. Prices of food stuff has gone high, insecurity is high, nobody is saying anything. Do you think now that Nigerians have become defeated?
We are not defeated, we are only hungry. A hungry stomach has no energy to be resistant. It falls to helplessness. So you can actually say we are at that level of hopelessness now, that we do not even have the energy to muster a resistance. And again, you made reference to the Occupy Nigeria. That was a robust opposition in power, in governance. I expect that the opposition parties today, the PDP, the ABGA, the Labour Party, should have played the same role.
What's the difference between Occupy Nigeria and MSAS?
MSAS was predicated on certain abuses of police.
Yeah, but you saw how it was broken up.
It wasn't a reference to civil governance. It was,
I get it. Yes. The point here is, they had to occupy somewhere to make a point.
Yeah,
now you saw how it was broken up compared to the free reign of Occupy Nigeria. I think, like so many people have said, the reason for the defeat, in quotes, my sister suggested, is that the people have been shown, if you do anyhow, you see anyhow.
These are two
right or wrong.
And nobody's ever wrong or right in his opinion. So only the court decides wrong or
and is free, right?
It's part of that tolerance level. Everybody should be entitled to his opinion.
True.
Again, these are two different scenarios. Once you begin to protest an alleged abuse or injustice, do it within the limit of the law. Okay. Once that happens, you have your rights to whatever it takes. The NSAS situation was akin to the Arab Spring, where at a point people began to attack properties. Human beings.
No properties were attacked on Lekki Toll Gate. If I'm wrong, correct me.
Policemen were killed.
At Lekki Toll Gate. We're talking Lekki Toll Gate.
It didn't start from there.
Yeah, but we saw what happened there.
No, you didn't see. You heard what happened.
We heard what happened. Okay, good. I agree. Yeah, we heard what happened.
And some of those things were broadcasted live.
Let's take it that we only heard.
DJ switched. I had to carry about 17 bodies on her back. Is that what you saw? Like just. What I was saying. We need to address this.
Let's scratch that.
Yes.
Why I said let's scratch that, it has nothing to do with this guy.
No, sure. What we're saying is, she asked a question.
Yeah, so
that
let's take the issue of the defeat.
Once you take a protest within the ambit of the law, it must be sustained. So the area of being defeatist is that we need people that will put us into that protest line. We have the civil society organization, we have the opposition, we have the media, with its agenda setting mechanism. If these three arms of government or of
society,
of non-state actors, collapses, then there is no system again.
You think those have collapsed?
Yes, that means the country has.
No, they have not collapsed.
No, because now first of all, let me take you back to what you said. You said, Atiku is the politician, so whatever he says will not be a benchmark.
Definition of the economy.
But now you still want opposition to lead. I've been struggling with it.
Opposition in policies. not in criticism. He said the government, the economy is in shambles. That is an opinion.
Because
we are not talking of a policy mobilization.
Why, you know why I'm saying this? How
Yes,
it starts. If that subsidy removed by the Jonathan administration had stood,
yes,
most likely we wouldn't have been where we are today.
yes,
True
we
or
have
false?
passed that era. But you're making reference to the past, we're in the present now.
Okay, so what's in the past?
So let's situate ourselves and ask opposition leaders to take the charge in providing alternative governance templates.
Okay.
They are the ones that will tell us that why the tier of government is necessary, why local government autonomy. They should be on radio, they should be on TV, everywhere. Talking about it. Mobilizing the masses so that they can support the president.
But we've constantly heard the ruling party, the president's talking heads always saying, Atiku and Obi are still suffering from the pain of election loss. Don't you think that's what it would look like?
Atiku is an opposition leader, not a political party.
Okay.
He was just a candidate in a
so you want
the party is supreme than an individual.
So you want the parties generally to do
yes,
like
I said earlier, we define political participation by just election. No.
It should be more than that.
It should be more than that. It should be for education. It should be for enlightenment. It should be for empowerment. How many political parties have gone to, to our universities and educate students on what political election is, on what political participation is? How many of them have gone to the local communities?
To the communities, yes.
To educate them on the rights of citizens. On why your local government must provide water for you. These are political education and enlightenment. In primary school, we're taught the functions of political parties. And one of the functions, is just to win election. But the other one, the political parties are not even practicing them. They've gone, all the avalanche of political parties in Nigeria, they've gone down now. The moment election is around the corner.
There have been 37, 40 parties.
Political parties.
Right now, it's down to just about 3 or 4 parties.
Political parties
who are not
they're always talking about the presidents and not policies.
Now,
we want a position, this is first year anniversary of the president. The political party should have taken a stand. Our stand, like an editorial on President Tinubu's 1 year
going around the media,
telling us that where he has gone wrong, where he needs to improve. Opposition is not war.
All right, let's go back to the economy. The twin policies of one, subsidy removal, floating the excess, forex, FX. Now, the subsidy is twofold here, to petrol and electricity. Many people thought it was biting too many at the same time and that the processes were not well thought out. And then other people said, look, if only the current government had inherited a better economy from its predecessor, probably things would have been better. For many people, they think the past administration handed over a live cobra to the current administration. And also that government, in many spheres, and also the economy, took us back, depending on anybody's estimate, is between 50 to 200 years. What do you think? Are these criticisms, are they fair?
These are lame criticism. Governance, like I say, is a continuum. If an opposition party should assume governance, you definitely inherit the baggages that come with the former government. Now let's look at.
You knew what was there before you came.
Yes, you made a reference to taming a cobra. It takes a tamer to accept the job of taming a cobra.
If you know you can't do that,
don't enter the kitchen if you can't stand the smoke. Now a revolution is happening in the FCT.
Yes.
The man from Rivers.
He's
in some,
he's weekend in landscape.
The man has turned around governance, infrastructural governance in the FCT. And he didn't achieve that in 1 year. He
has never complained about
inherited a structure from the past government.
True.
You wouldn't have built a rail a metro lane in 1 year. President Jonathan initiated it, sustained by President Muhammadu Buhari. Now, a Tinubu is commissioning.
Absolutely.
So that is what we talk about government. It's a continuum. Road infrastructure in the past administration, you can't rule that out. They achieved a significant lot in that aspect. So it's a whole. If there's perfect antidote to governance, there won't be need for election. We'll just be on auto control. But because life is always defined by conflicts, you must be ready to address the problems of yesterday. That is why you are here to fill in that gap. So it's not an excuse. If you met a battered economy, remember when President Muhammadu Buhari came, he had to borrow to pay salaries. The previous government could not pay salaries. He had to borrow to pay. Then that happened, he sustained that until this man came. So it was a battered economy. There wouldn't have been need to borrow to pay salary. He paid salary until his time. So if the forex market is bad, please let's push the blame squarely to the handlers of the economy. What were the decisions taken that affected the float, the forex situation? So as experts, they should be bold enough to cushion against whatever it is. It is not a race for triumph of being the best runner. Your own is to provide solutions to whatever leakage a pipe has, the pipe of governance has. So the handlers of the economy must look back and even into the future to address this situation. What were the actions taken that made the Naira to float from 700 to 1,000 to 2,000? These are the questions that we should ask. Did anything happen? Was there war? Was there a COVID lockdown? What really happened? Did we increase our production capacity in terms of oil? Was there a foreign invasion in terms of war? So what is happening? Did we reduce our import abilities? These are the questions we need to ask, not to begin to speculate that the economy was badly handled. We had a situation where Naira was 1 Naira to the dollar. And
there was a time when it was 75 kobo to $1.
So it's a it's a progression. Realities are
happening.
happening.
Get to 10,000 Naira to $1.
And again, it tells on our national ethos. When you define your value, your currency value with another nation,
rather than your own productivity.
So it makes you a perpetual slave to imperialism.
I agree 200%.
You understand? So until we begin to look inward, the Singaporean experience, 42 years learning the ropes of governance. Today they are a world power. How did they use the dollar to measure their growth or their development? Look at Rwanda.
Singapore, I think they use their own dollar too.
Sure. Look at China. Look at Singapore. What is it called? Rwanda. Even though these people are benevolent dictators, they have been able to change the narrative of their national life.
We're running out of time, and I needed to ask you this question. The President Muhammadu Buhari government borrowed heavily. Yes. And the current government has also been borrowing. In fact, as of yesterday, it was confirmed we are borrowing another $500 million from the AFDB to invest in the power sector, or to actually the discos, to rejuvenate the discos. Don't you think by now, in the last 9 years, let's agree that as of 2015 things went right? Don't you think we should have figured out how to be more productive and stop borrowing?
The econogram called the international politics or economy, it's built around borrowing. That is what they use in holding you. So you can't remove borrowing from governance. It is an international activity.
Whether you want it or not, you'll be pushed into a borrowing position.
You have to borrow because you do not have the infrastructural superpower to provide your needs. The microphones we're using, we see our colleges of education, our technical colleges cannot still produce all of these things. But what I like the borrowing policy of Buhari, President Buhari. He asked the Chinese to invest infrastructural wise.
So we borrowing tagged to
development
projects.
Yes, don't give us the money so that the money will not grow wings and legs into private pockets. We've seen the Chinese revolution in Nigeria. The rails are working, the airports are remodeled. These are the impact, the impacts of that borrowing infrastructure. That should, I think President Tinubu should also toe that line. Let these people provide a critical infrastructure, for all in exchange for the borrowing. Do not give us the liquid cash.
Else the money might miss on its way to Nigeria.
You remember the IMF experience, the SAP, and the rest of it. We do not want your money. Give us, life is bilateral. Remember the trade by barter license. We can give you, with time you can take your money back, but build us this infrastructure.
Right.
No government will borrow to build the metro line in Abuja again, except perhaps to expand.
Yeah.
What is
Or
already
to improve or
To
what's
improve. But the point is that we have borrowed to build it, so we have something to say. This money was used to do this.
All right.
Yes.
Well,
we have to knock it off, really.
But we
because
hope
of
that
the
as
time.
much as they're developing, they're also training our citizens to.
Oh, obviously, it's part to maintain it. It's part of the process.
Yes.
We really have to knock it off at this time. Thank you so much, Abdullahi Haruna. Haruna Abdullahi, how spice for your time.